guys, BPro here. Today I'm going to be talking about how to PvP in 1.16 and what all the best loadouts are for every stage of the game. So first we're going to start off with the very start of the game. You don't have much, you just got into your world, and you want to fight some other players who also just got into the world. You're going to want to have a shield, that's the most important thing. You just need 1 iron for this. And then you're just going to have a sword, an axe, and a pickaxe, and some blocks. Or you can use a shovel for dirt, but you know. Any blocks. And what you're going to want to do is just use your shield so your opponent can't hit you. And then you're going to sprint at your opponent and swing your axe when it's fully charged, and that's going to disable their shield for 5 seconds. And then you want to hit them with the sword as much as you can, and that's usually going to kill them at this stage of the game. They don't have any armor or anything. Yeah, so that's a pretty easy way to win combat at the start of the game. You can just like build up with some blocks if you need to get away from your opponent, if you're losing the fight, if your shield's been disabled or something. Yeah, so that's basically how to PvP at the very start of the game. It's pretty easy, pretty simple, not much to it. And alright, so it's early game, but you've gotten some more stuff. You have some, maybe an iron chest plate, a shield, you can get a water bucket, and then also you might have a bow from like a skeleton or something, and you have better stuff. So basically, in this stage of the game, it's essentially the same, except you have a bow and a water bucket. So what you might want to do is do some things related to fall traps, like you try to drop your opponent and kill them, and yeah, so the water bucket is essential for you being able to drop like off cliffs or whatever and survive. If you're good at water bucket clutching, you basically don't take fall damage. And yeah, so the PvP is still pretty similar to the start of the game. You can disable your opponent's shield with your axe. Make sure to be sprinting when you use the axe, because that gives it a 100% chance to disable their shield. And then just kill them with the sword. You can also bow them to make them use their shield and slow them down a lot. And yeah, that's how to PvP at the early game. And then middle game is where it gets slightly more complicated. And you're going to have things like lava buckets now, and maybe enchantments too. So you still have your shield, that's just an essential part. You always need a shield. And then so we're going to look at your hotbar first, and then this is your inventory. So you might have a crossbow now, and crossbows are much better than bows in some ways, because you can charge them and then immediately shoot instead of having to charge it up and walk around very slowly. So yeah, crossbows are much better than bows in some aspects of combat. Then you can have just the same sword, axe, pickaxe, and some blocks. And that part of PvP is essentially the same, except it's going to take a lot longer to kill your opponent. That's why you have things like lava. So you can lava your opponent, and while they're trying to focus on that, then you can do a ton of damage with your sword and axe. And also you have pearls for getting out of tight places and running away. You have blocks to be able to move around, and you have a pickaxe to be able to break blocks. And also, one thing you can do, instead of just lavaing your opponent, if you can actually try to trap their head in obsidian by placing lava and then water next to it, placing lava on their head and water next to it, and then you can just hit their feet and they're dead. So that's and if you can't get a crossbow, you can just use a bow. It works the same, but crossbows are just better. So yeah, obby trapping in someone's head is a new tool which you have at this stage of the game. And also you can aggro pearl at people to attack them. You can also pearl away from them if you want to escape from bad situations. Alright, so that is the middle game, and now we are going to the much more complicated stage of the endgame, and be prepared, because this is much more complicated and stuff. So, look at all this stuff. We have a completely full inventory of things we're going to use. So you're going to want to have really nice armor, so that you can not die to all the things that people are going to come up with to try to kill you when you're PvPing. And so you're still going to have your shield. It's always a tool you use in PvP in 1.16 or 1.9 and up. And so you're going to have some blocks, a nice pickaxe so that you can break it if you are obby trapped. You're going to have a really nice crossbow because that does a ton of damage and it pierces shields too. Oh yeah, something I forgot to mention in the middle game. But yeah, crossbow pierces shields. And then you're still going to do the same strategy with disabling your opponent's shield and sprinting at them to make sure it does it 100% of the time. There'll also be an efficiency enchantment if you can get efficiency 5. it actually, efficiency for every level, it gives it a 5% higher chance to disable their opponent's shield without sprinting. So if you can get a nice efficiency 5 in your axe too, then that can be really good for PvP. So you can disable their shield when you're not moving at all too. And then you're going to want to have some gaps probably, or maybe even enchanted golden apples if you can get some, or just golden carrots if you don't have enough gold. And then, so you're going to have your water bucket, always essential, anti-fall damage, even if you have feather falling forward, which negates a lot. If you're in a really long fall, you're going to need a water bucket. And then pearls, both defensive and offensive, already talked about those. And then, now we're talking about some arrows. So, instead of just the normal arrows, you now have access, if you've defeated the Ender Dragon, you have access to utility, like tipped arrows, which are much better, and they can be used for many things. You have your arrows of harming, which do way more damage to players. Like, it's absurd how much damage they do. And also, you can use either buff slowness arrows, or you can use just normal slowness arrows that last for a long time. And if you hit your opponent with a high slowness arrow like this one, it basically freezes them. Like, they can't move at all, and it's so overpowered. So yeah, tipped arrows are an amazing thing. You craft them with you make them with dragon breath. You get lingering potions with dragon breath, and then you craft them in a crafting table, 8 arrows around the lingering potion. You get tipped arrows. And yeah, so those are an essential part of PvP. They're going to do way more damage to your opponent. They're going to stop their movement, and they can do all sorts of stuff. And then, okay, so you can also have an elytra at this point, and so you can use that for transport, but if you're actually going to be fighting people, you're going to want to have a chest plate on, because if you don't have a chest plate on, you're going to take so much damage, and you're going to die really fast. You have fireworks for your elytra, and you have lava buckets, same thing. You can try to do obby trapping, so it won't be as effective now, because your opponent's going to have a good pickaxe most likely. And then you can also just lava your opponent, slows them down, does damage, good all around. You're going to have some blocks, obviously, movement, and you're just going to want to have them. And so you might have some totems of undying at this point, which are really helpful, because basically if you're in a bad situation, just swap it out with your shield, or you can just even throw in your hotbar and hold it if you're about to die, and you're not going to die. You're going to get a bunch of regen, absorption. They're good all around. They give you extra lives, basically. They're really helpful. You might just want to swap them out with your shield if you're not worried about taking hits, because then you just can't die until it pops. Alright, so then we have potions. Potions are a great thing in PvP. Once you unlock them, you have so much more potential for PvP. Like, for example, fire res potions. You can't take lava damage, and you can't take damage from fire aspect swords and flame bows. Like, fire resistance potions, you should just pop one right before you go into PvP, and you're not gonna get lava. You'll be fine from that. And we have poison potions. So if you get a direct splash with one of these on your opponent, they're gonna go down to a half heart, and then they're just dead. Like, they're OP. So yeah, just hit one of your opponent with these, wait a minute, and then just kill them if they don't get the pearl out. Because when you're on a half heart, you can't pearl. So if they don't pearl out quick, then they're dead. And so you're also going to want some swiftness potions just to move around faster. Not necessary, but they're helpful. And also, if your opponent's trying to slow you down, you can use those to negate some of it. And then we have strength potions. I like to use potions of strength too, even though they last for a lot shorter. They do insane amounts of damage. It's plus 3 more hearts of damage whenever you hit with your opponent with a sword or an axe. And like with the axe, this does 19 damage. You can like one-shot a player. It's crazy. So yeah, strength is OP. Also, one thing that I didn't have in here, but you might want to carry around, is milk buckets to stop these poison effects and stuff like that. Other negative effects that your opponent might want to splash you with. And then finally, we have end crystals. Like, these are often overlooked, except on anarchy servers where people use them a lot. So basically, what these do is an absurd amount of damage. Like, if one of these blows up and you're near it, and you're on the same Y level as it, you're gonna like get one-shotted. It's absurd. So you're gonna want to carry around some of these, and it's like a surprise weapon. They're gonna do so much damage to your opponent. It's great. Just make sure you're not near them when you explode them, or if you are, you want to make sure your feet are at least 1 block below it, because if they're not, then you're also gonna like die. So, because how explosions work is if the explosion hits your feet, then you're going to take way more damage than if it hits your upper hitbox. So if you're on the same Y level or above the end crystal when it explodes, you're going to like die. And if you're below it, you're going to be fine. You're going to take like a half heart of damage or something, and you won't matter at all. So yeah, if you're really worried about these, if people are using them on your server, then you might want to like, get some like one piece with blast protection instead of just normal protection. And yeah, so that's my guide to PvP in 1.16, and I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you liked the video, and I'll see you next time.
Let's sing a song full of hope, full of pain. Why don't you sing along, my friend, for it's our last refrain. Forever young, ever strong, ever brave. Memories like